Hello and welcome. This is a difficult day for me. Morning, I should say. I woke up at about 3 o'clock this morning with full of energy because I'm on a sugar high. Been up for a few hours and wanted to make this video of my inevitable regression failure of Carnivore finally. I knew this day was coming at some point. I am 1 week short of 9 months. I have lost 70 pounds. I'm at 150 from 220. And I finally caved on Christmas, as I'm sure many out there can relate to. The plethora of choices, the pressures finally overcame me. And I was really on a roll. I was at the point that I wanted to make it a year. So for the 9 months, I have not eaten one cracker or cookie or chip or anything. I was completely carb-free for almost 9 months. The only carbs that possibly got in were maybe some meatballs that had some breadcrumbs in them, or a chicken breast that had some barbecue sauce that was completely burned off on the grill, but that is it over 9 months. So very strict. And I was pretty proud of myself for having that amount of discipline and willpower. However, no excuses, but the couple weeks leading up to Christmas were trying, difficult. The stomach flu swept through the house. I got sick, very sick, one of the sickest I can remember being. My mom, my 99-year-old mom, got sick, and I kind of want to do a video on that because it was kind of an interesting experience. And then I had to hospitalize her because she had some related issues to the illness, I believe. Her heart rate went up, and again, that's kind of a whole different subject. I ended up fasting involuntarily because of the flu for 48 hours, and then because of the hospital stay, another 2 24-hour stints of fasting, which I'm not really into the fasting. It just kind of occurred. So that dropped me down to the 150 pounds, which is maybe way too low for me anyway. So when the temptations of Christmas rolled around, I probably subconsciously was feeling that I was owed or due something, and it was time to let my hair down, so to speak. As I've been on this journey, I also quit alcohol. So I haven't had alcohol or carbs for 9 months. Well, which came first? The carbs or the alcohol? Well, they came together, I would say. I was trying to debate over the last some period of time which I would cave in first, whether it would be the alcohol or the carbs. And it was both simultaneously, and I'll explain why. What took me down the road to ruin was a bottle of eggnog. The eggnog said it was bourbon whiskey and rum and whiskey and I think of brandy or something. And I just was intrigued by that mixture of alcohols. And I'm not some big eggnog drinker. I don't know that I've ever really drank eggnog. When I drink, I usually drink whiskey or something real. At any rate, I had to try it. It was Christmas. I thought, you know what? I think I can indulge in this amount of eggnog. So I had essentially is 2 sips, call it. Probably half an ounce. Well, guess what? Then I had another, that much. Well, no one else was really interested in the eggnog. And then I had a glass full. I didn't hide it. I didn't hide it from anybody, even though everybody knows that I have not, that I've been on the wagon, both from alcohol and from sugar, for 9 months. And been somewhat ridiculed for my journey, but whatever. Not the alcohol journey so much, but the carbs just rolling their eyes, and as many of you that try and be in this space know. So I had the eggnog, and I had the whole bottle of eggnog eventually. But as I was having the eggnog, I snuck away, and we had a spread of cookies. There was a spread of cookies out. Just enough cookies to get myself into trouble. Mind you, I had one of everything, and then another of everything, and then a few more later in the evening. Enough that I had a tummy ache. I couldn't stop. I just couldn't stop. I devoured them. Probably that alcohol after 9 months of abstinence was affecting me, right? Probably any amount of alcohol. So there I was. I had to have my favorite cookie, which was called a dog bone. My grandma used to make these. She called them dog bones. They were my favorite cookie, and that's the old faded and stained recipe card written in her hand. I actually had made these cookies. I made cookies over the past few weeks for the family, and I completely abstained over that period of time, didn't touch a one. It was kind of my little test of my willpower, and I made it through until Christmas. So, was it... So there was no craving for the alcohol necessarily. It was this interest in trying this combination of liquors and knowing, I think, that it was also carbs in the eggnog. Now on the bottle it didn't really say, it didn't have any kind of label on it explaining the makeup. I can't tell you what carbs or sugar were in it. But needless to say, it was some substantial amount. The fascinating thing to me is what I hid. I didn't hide from anybody that I was drinking, but I snuck away, and I didn't want them to see me eating cookies and carbs and sugar. Because to me, that was a much bigger win than not drinking, I guess. And I wanted to set that, how do you say it? I didn't want to fail on carnivore. I didn't want to fail my carnivore in front of anybody. Isn't that something? You don't want anybody to know that you failed at it, because there's so much criticism of it. And maybe because it is impossible to continue. I mean, look at some of the people that have kind of exited you have a few carnivores that have exited the space, not because it was necessarily unhealthy for them, I believe, but because it's just not sustainable for most of us that have that severe addiction. I'm hoping I can keep myself on track. How do I feel about this whole situation? Here I am on the morning of the day after Christmas, so less than 12 hours ago. My glucose levels are probably off the charts. I did also even break down and have coffee, as I kind of did a video I wasn't drinking coffee either. So with that cookie, I had to have coffee. How guilty do I feel? I knew the day was coming. I'm not going to beat myself up over it. But will it lead to the end of my carnivore experience after a solid 9 months and 70 pounds of weight loss? Or will I be able to recover now and continue on the journey? Those questions will be answered. So please like and subscribe to my channel to find out.